It is our pleasure to welcome founder and CEO of Sauna Space, Brian Richards, to the show. Brian, welcome.
Thank you for having me, guys.
Yeah. So we have been talking about, specifically on this season of the podcast, holistic health, home health, holiness, mind, body, spirit, and really just returning to nature's design, to God's design. Like, what is optimal for the human? And we've talked a lot about food, and we've gone into, various categories, but we have yet to get into sauna and red light.
And that's partly because it's newer to us this year.
Exactly.
We've kind of gone down the rabbit hole on a lot of the other things and shared a lot of that information with our listeners and shared our experience from just health changes that we've made and kind of starting a lot of these different practices. But red light and sauna is newer to us, and so we've talked about it in bits and pieces, but we are certainly not the experts, so we're very thankful to have you on because you are, and just to tell our listeners about the benefits of red light, sauna, and how you became an expert on that just kind of via your own story in founding Sauna Space and all the health benefits
maybe we'll start there.
Came from you. So yeah. Kick it off.
Maybe I'll start with the third point first.
Yeah.
Love it.
Where I came from. So I came from my own health problems. I was basically dealing with adrenal fatigue related problems, insomnia, and mind racing. It was difficult for me to fall asleep, and I had low energy and acne on my torso, and I was kind of irascible and kind of low energy. And if you just met me at the coffee shop, you wouldn't necessarily recognize or see any of these symptoms, but there were things that really bothered me, and I considered myself to be a healthy person. And so this is at the end of my college career, and I was like, something's wrong here. I need to correct something. I got recommended to take, among other things, like Accutane for acne.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I was like, just doesn't make sense. Let's get to the point of it. What is the root cause? It didn't seem logical to me. It wasn't that I was suffering from a deficiency of a pharmaceutical drug. There's something else. So I talked to my mom, actually. My mother's a general practitioner physician. She has always been into natural integrative health. I grew up in Montana, and she was prescribing vitamins to people in the 80s. It was a shocking concept. And she's not prescribed a pharmaceutical drug, I think, in like 3 or 4 decades. So she's really been naturally and functionally minded from a long time. And I also have my father, who's a retired radiologist. So I grew up with both sides of the spectrum, and I now appreciate so deeply how amazing my mom is and was, and doing what she was doing, where it was cash based, but she was getting real results, and the real results were coming from recognizing the divine intelligence we have within, this unlimited system we have. It is really unlimited powers, and unlimited knowing, and unlimited healing systems that constantly regenerate and take care of themselves as long as you give them what they're designed to get, which is what we got in nature before modern technology and modern agriculture and things like that. These things.
Exactly.
So I realized now I saw both of them growing up, and in the allopathic side, more of the radiology side, my father's side, I saw more of a revolving door, people getting diagnosed and then treated with not nearly the success and I would say the benefit value, the value standpoint of the natural approach. So long story short, my mom said, you know what, Brian, you're probably just toxic. You probably just need a detox, and you should get a sauna. And so this intrigued me, and I researched online into the benefits of sauna that we'll talk about in a moment. They're fascinating.
Yeah.
And at the end of my research, I found the electric light bath, and it was invented by Dr. Kellogg in 1891. So in 1891, this is a few years after light bulbs were invented.
Yeah.
This guy, Dr. Kellogg, who actually his brother is the Kellogg's cornflakes inventor.
Oh, wow. It's
so same family.
Dr. Kellogg. Wow.
Yeah, this is Dr. John Harvey Kellogg. That was a different Kellogg, which is kind of a sad story.
They took different paths. Wow.
Yeah, they ended up in two different spheres.
Yeah, well, yeah, the strange thing is they used to think that out of control male libido was a societal problem that needed to be addressed. So they invented cornflakes to lower male libido, and look at how much they've accomplished, in 100 years. Wow, like now we have the opposite problem, right? Anyway, same family, interestingly enough, but Dr. John Harvey Kellogg had a spa in Battle Creek, Michigan, and he basically invented this big Victorian cabinet with all these light bulbs in it that you stood in, and it was a sauna. And he didn't know why, but he said there's something special about the light. He didn't understand about mitochondria and all this stuff that we can see now with microscopes nowadays and modern technology. But he said there's something about the light that heats the body up better than a regular sauna, and on its own has some unique, interesting health benefits, the light itself. So he treats over 50,000 patients, over 200,000 log sauna sessions, and he wrote a book about it called Light Therapeutics. So this is the book that I stumbled upon. Mm-hmm. And you can read it online. It's published online, and you can also buy a reprint of it. So he heals every chronic illness he could come up against. He has some other modalities he was doing too, like cold therapy, and he had an arc light, and he had a handheld portable light bulb healing device.
Oh, yeah.
And so I was like, whoa. And I found a modern doctor's rendition of this. And I basically was like, wow, I can build my own sauna. It can be like the electric light bath. It sounded really cool. And I wanted, I'm a tinkerer. I'm a builder. So I cobbled my own together and used it right before bed and slept really well. So then same thing the next night, used it before bed. Again, slept really well for the first time in a long time. Yeah. And my insomnia is gone, right? So it's gone. And I'm like, wow, I'll keep doing this. I'm excited now. And after 6 months, all my problems, let's call them, this disharmony in my internal environment went away. My skin looked great. My mood, my energy levels, my patience, and a cognitive function was really, I realized that I had brain fog that I really wasn't aware of. When the car's dirty and you splash some more mud on it, you don't notice. But once you clean up, it's really fascinating how I noticed. Yeah. And I got more in touch with my body as I healed and corrected and optimized things, that I was worse off than I thought I was. So anyway, it was this amazing healing journey. And I was like, where is the electric light bath? Where can you buy this product? And that was the inspiration to start Sauna Space. That was like 11 years ago. Here we are today. Wow.
Incredible. I love it. It's great. Thank you for sharing all of that. Your own story with it, and just the fact that you just built it yourself to heal your own problems. How cool it is that could fuel your passion into what you're doing now, and not just being the CEO and founder of Sauna Space, but all the education that you do around red light therapy and sauna because of your own story. And
so, having built that and having gone through that healing curve, could you maybe describe a little bit more of like what was, in hindsight now, the disharmony in your body? Like, what were you missing? Why did this help?
Yeah, that's an amazing question. I always jump into the benefits of sauna and light therapy, but we should step back and say, well, why do we care?
Why do we need it? Yeah.
Why do we need it? And I kind of implied it during my in my recount of my story of how I got here, and that's this idea of harmony and disharmony in the internal and external environment. So if health is an equation, it's like health is a function of harmony in the internal and the external environment together. They're both contributing. And then illness and disease and when things are broken or not working right is a function of disharmony in the internal and external environment. So external environment is everything outside of our bodies. And I think we're paying more and more attention to that nowadays more than ever. Like a clean environment using clean soaps and clean filtered water, and even addressing like EMFs a little bit in the home and so forth. And also how we arrange our spaces and how we have our relationships with other people and how we live at home. and how we are, wherever we are in the world. But the other piece is the internal environment. And we have this beautifully functioning, sort of automated systems in the body that keep us healthy. But when pollution and poisons and foreign things that don't belong to us are in our bodies, it starts to prevent optimal functioning. It's just like a car. It's a very simple analogy.
Yeah.
So when we have these disharmonies in our internal environment, things don't work as they're supposed to. So our body has a beautiful built-in system or several systems to harmonize and remove these discontinuities in the body. And one of the most powerful systems is the heat shock protein. And so we can heat the body up and do sauna, and we can cleanse the body. And then also with light therapy, I'm sure we'll get into a little more, but like it's a system of using light to heal, to correct damage in the body and optimize function in the body. And these systems of heat and light therapy affect and work in every cell of the body. And we're designed to get this basically every day to constantly correct the aging and stress that's happening to us and to remove the poisons from within us. It's really hard to be your highest and best self when you have things inside of you that aren't you.
Yeah.
And so like we got to get those things out. And so
which we have a lot more of now than we did in
Right,
the 80s
right.
when your mom was a functional
and
practitioner.
even in the last 20 years, the amount of petrochemicals and plastics that we have in nano technology now that we're exposed to, that's in consumer products and it's in pharmaceutical products and EMFs too, and new types of parasites. These are all things that don't belong in the body. So we need to get them out, and sauna and detoxification is not really a luxury. It's really a necessity, an essential, almost daily wellness practice. Like if you have a problem, I love the way Dr. Ed Group said this. I saw an Instagram of him recently where he's like, if you have a problem, the first thing you need to do is detox. And the best way to detox and cleanse the body is from within, from the inside out. Juice cleanses and binders and those types of things are helpful to promote detox, but we have, within every cell of the body, the trillions of cells, we have these systems that are designed to self-correct and eliminate and re-optimize if we're using them. So the toxic tidal wave and the crazy modern environment we live in is why we need sauna and light therapy really on a daily basis.
Yeah,
Absolutely. Were you gonna say something?
Yeah, I was just gonna.
I got another question.
Yeah, go for it.
Just to hover here for a second, and one thing, after reading about Sauna Space and doing our own research and initial dive into, okay, why is heat good? Why is red light good and healthy? Like, what's the direct correlation? One thing that really stood out to me with things you've said, where I've seen online, and then also just Sauna Space's, mission or whatever, you guys do a really good job, put a heavy foot forward in emphasizing, like, we just want to recreate nature. Like, at the end of the day, what is nature doing? And let's just do that. So for me, my brain goes to, okay, obviously the correlation to the sun. The sun is light. The sun gives us heat. Everything on the entire planet operates from the energy of the sun. In a sense, we're almost a part. I mean, we are absolutely a part of the what do you call it, the photosynthesis process of nature.
Yeah,
and,
we're plants. We're like plants. We
essentially, yeah. And so, like the ecosystem, back to the health. With you can't feel healthy and be externally healthy if you're not healthy inwardly. Oh man, just thought that rabbit just ran right across my frame of view. My thought.
Well, I think if you could speak to a little bit about why we need, and you kind of did a little bit, but like
the sun,
why we need
the sun, and light,
the sun, and like these things that we did get a lot more of in a less modern world, when we were outside all day, when we were walking barefoot, when we were living a certain lifestyle that allowed us to engage with nature more in a more optimal way, which is not the world that we live in now. We don't get the chance to, most people do not get the chance.
We're detached from our environment and the health of our ecosystem, right? Like,
right.
You can't be healthy if you're not operating in your ecosystem.
Well,
so
light, it's not so much that we live with light and life is a part of our universe. It's rather that we are light. We're light beings. We're not just, living with light and having light around us, like the light bulbs and the sun that's outside. It is actually us. We're one with the light. And so we eat light, as you imply. We're like plants. Except we photosynthesize with near infrared light, let's say, and we use light to make energy and for healing and for anti-inflammation and for anti-aging effects and all these things. It's baked into our DNA and our biology, and it's something that we're designed to get every day. And our ancestors got many hours of sunlight every day, and they got early morning light. They watched the sunrise. Then that programs the brain and the nervous system and the hormones for the day. You basically are telling your body it's time to wake up. The sun's up.
Yep.
And then after dark, when the sun sets, we used to go to sleep because we had no more light source and no more blue light. And we have what's called the circadian rhythm, where we're diurnal, creatures, where we are supposed to be up in the daytime and then we sleep at night. And we have light receptors in all of our body, not just our eyes. We have blue light receptors actually all the way in the middle of our gut. And we have these red light and near infrared light receptors in every cell of the body. They're called mitochondria. There's an enzyme in the mitochondria, the powerhouse of the cell, these are in every cell of the body, by the way. And it absorbs light. It has an enzyme called the cytochrome, the cell of light. So we literally take photons from the sun that are these invisible packets of energy, and we convert them into electricity, into electrons in the body, and we use it for healing and for energy production, all these things. And so when we get lots of sunlight, we're healthy. And if you look at ancestral cultures and the few that actually still exist nowadays, there's one commonality behind that they all have. They have different diets depending on where they are on the earth, and they have different cultural qualities, but all of them get sunlight every day. And the quality of your microbiome and your mood and your quality of your sleep, it's all positively impacted by getting lots of sunlight each day. And if we look at the sun, 70% of the sun's power that we absorb is near infrared. And that's kind of what we do at Sauna Space with what we call the firelight spectrum, is we're mimicking how the light of nature is. The light of nature is the sun, and it's an incandescent light source. And over 70% of the power is near infrared. It's the portion of infrared it's a portion of the sun spectrum, I should say, that's unseen. It's this magical light band that we don't see with our eyes. You mentioned red light therapy, and most people think of this as red light therapy. But if we talk about photobiomodulation, which in science means light controlling biology, that's the scientific term for light therapy. It's the use of red and near infrared light to heal damaged cells and optimize function of healthy cells. So we can use red wavelengths and we can use near infrared wavelengths, and they do the same thing. But the near infrared wavelengths penetrate much deeper into the body. So only near infrared light penetrates bone tissue. So if we want to do light therapy on our brain for like cognitive function and for mood improvement, we need to use near infrared wavelengths, or look at nature and say, well, what is nature doing? Well, nature is the sun in terms of light, and it's over 70% near infrared. And so this light, it doesn't just heal us in the ways I've mentioned, it also promotes cellular melatonin production. That's the body's number one antioxidant. So when you get out and you're getting a lot of sun, it's not just healing you, it's like filling up your antioxidant reserves in your cells, which are there to neutralize free radicals and prevent oxidative stress, and they keep you healthy. And that's why in the winter, you don't get as much sun, you're more likely to get the sick, get flu, get a cold, whatever. It's not just the vitamin D, although there is some benefit from ultraviolet light, and that's the vitamin D production. But we should clarify to everybody that ultraviolet light and blue light are high energy visible or high energy wavelengths. They're killer wavelengths.
Yeah.
The ultraviolet light, it causes mutations in our DNA. And the blue light causes free radical formation, so it causes oxidative stress. That's why people wear blue blockers glasses, you know, because you got all this blue light indoors all day long. So there's no question that they're killer wavelengths. But from the sun, we're getting a little bit of that, and we're getting this huge dose of near infrared that reverses all of that damage, and it has its own healing qualities. Oh, there's a little ant on my mic. It's so funny. Hey, little guy. And there's other things too that we could go on and on. That there's the structuring of water effect. So water has a more bioavailable state, like energy production in the body works better, and water as a communication vector works better. The myofascial system, it's the tissues between the tissues. It's the largest organ of the body, and it's not just like a space between tissues. It's like its own organ that is part of communication throughout the body, and water is the magic.
It's never talked about.
Not even talked about, but it's a huge thing. That all you have to do is you can either vortex water with a water structuring device, or you can use the sunlight. So it's doing all this in our body. It's like 70% of our caloric requirement can be satisfied with sunlight. When we get lots of sunlight in the summer, you know, we're not as hungry. We don't need to eat as much. So we're like, it's not just this thing on the side. It's actually a central. It's the most important nutrient. It's the central nourishing stimulus we have in our external environment. You know,
and it is recreatable. It may be ignorant question, but like, it's obviously not 1-to-1 because of all the complexities that is with sunlight. But to have a near infrared bulb, heat source, tinted red, it's the best we can come up with to recreate this usable spectrum, this bioavailable light from the sun. Correct? Like, it's doable. It's
well, that's my opinion. That was what Dr. Kellogg said 100 years ago, and him and you know, the first man-made light is incandescent light, and it remains to this day the best mimicker of sunlight.
Yeah.
So it's because it's not one wavelength; it's a full spectrum emission, like the sun. And you get all the wavelengths in a power distribution that's natural. It's called the incandescent emission. It's like a big bell curve with a tail into infrared. And it's that sort of it's the cacophony effect that, like, what you get from the orange versus the vitamin C powder. The full spectrum incandescent light is like the orange. There's the cacophony effect of getting all the wavelengths in this natural analog sort of distribution of light. In contrast, like an LED is vitamin C powder, so it's a fractionated portion of the original form that when you see LED light therapy, it's great, and people get a lot of benefit from, and those are a lot of great products out there. But there's no question that it's a fractionated form of light. And then and nature's light is the full spectrum light, which is light and heat together, which is kind of weird for people to think, like, oh, I thought saunas are heat and sauna space is heat, but then how can it be light? And I thought light therapy doesn't have any heat. Well, it's different wavelengths are doing different things. But when you give the full spectrum, you get all the benefit. You get the alliance of the light therapy and the heat therapy. And we'll talk about the sauna therapy and the heat therapy because it's just as important. You know, it's not just light therapy that's important, but
absolutely.
So I think that this is the best recreation and the closest thing to the sun. The only difference between our firelight bulb and our firelight spectrum, the sun, is we don't have any ultraviolet light or blue light. Because what we're saying is what we need, because of the weird modern environment, we get way too much blue light.
Right.
And because we have high seed oil diets and we're unhealthy overall, we can't withstand the high energy wavelengths of the sun as well.
Yeah, we don't photosynthesize it properly.
We need to amp up the amount of this near infrared, this healing portion of the sun that we get, and detox and cleanse. And when you're an optimal human being, you have a lot of antioxidants or take lots of astaxanthin, you know, you can go out and not get sunburn. But if you have a lot of seed oil in your diet and you're, you know...
You wear sunglasses.
Yeah, we tested that last year. And
I mean, I'm a redhead, and I feel like I should be fair skin, you know, like lathering myself in sunscreen, and I really, unless we're out on the boat on the lake all day in the middle of the day, you know, and the UV is like super high. I really don't use sunscreen that much. But again, I just eat really healthy. I don't wear sunglasses. Like, you know, morning and evening exposure to the sun. Like there's a way to do it that's healthy. We've just lost touch with that way, you know, and we don't know how to do it anymore.
It's the compounding effects, right? It's like, you know, we start by making food cheaper, and then in order to make it cheaper, you add certain ingredients, and then those certain ingredients lowers your whatever blood count of something or other, and then next thing you know, you have seed oils that block cell receptors, and then next thing you know, we're sold sunscreen because the sun's bad for us, which makes no logical sense. And then we're so far down the rabbit trail
that go into your bloodstream.
Yeah, we're so far down this rabbit trail that we need to start backwards engineering this road with modern technology that's really ancient wisdom.
Yeah.
Which is exactly what you're doing. And what's interesting is, so I've been using
wisdom, I'd argue.
Yes, right? I know. Man, it would be so fun to do a whole podcast on that alone. But that
well, I just got back from this amazing trip from Egypt, and wow. So yeah, maybe we'll come on another time. That's a whole hour right there.
I feel like I need to go to Egypt.
Like a research trip or what? What was the intent?
Yeah. I went, it wasn't a vacation. It was a mission. It was a mission to...
I love it, dude.
Yeah, I was on a mission to sort of to reconnect with our Atlantean roots and understand the compare and contrast classic archaeology with, let's call it the Atlantean narrative, that you know, those sites are not they're not nearly as young as we think they are. They're much older.
Yeah.
And how they were built and the technologies that were used, which were clearly either light or sound based to cut the rock perfectly, and that the coffins are not, the sarcophagi are not coffins. They're not resting places. They're portals, you know, to something somewhere.
That's a whole
sometime.
Podcast.
And you know, time itself is not linear. It's a time is a territory. It's an ocean, and all timelines are coexisting at the same time.
In my brain. Yeah, I haven't been there, and I would love to go there.
But the thing is, when you go to Egypt, you really connect with this physical and energetic evidence of our past, and it helps you remember. So I recommend it to everybody. I'm really excited for you to go. We went to Damanhur first, which is a spiritual retreat in Italy outside of Milan. And then we took a Damanhurian Egyptologist and a Damanhurian historian. And we went on this amazing tour de force and got some private access. Like you can go to the Great Pyramid, and on the north side, which is the private access, it's the real entrance under the ground.
Yeah.
And we went there. We were all by ourselves in the Great Pyramid for 2 hours, like on this private tour. We did some things like that. We're like, wow, this is so special.
That's really special.
Yeah, that's incredible.
Yeah, man, that's a whole conversation.
But it's a whole conversation. But I'll mention one really cool thing. There's this place in Dendera that's south of Luxor, and this is like a Greco-Roman temple. So it's like it's a newer temple, but in there they have in a secret like chamber that you go down under inside under the temple. They have a carved sculpture, a wall carving of a lamp, and it's called the Dendera lamp. And I got pictures of it. You can look it up. You know, it's called the Dendera lamp, and it's this dude holding what looks like an Edison light bulb with a cable going to it. And a smoke going through it, and there's
it's rounding. Yeah.
And then like there's an alien looking like a snake alien.
Yeah.
Like with a human body and a snake head, like standing in front of with these knives, like warning radiation. And there's a couple of them right there. So the thing is, because like, how did they carve in these crypts for long hours in the dark? They couldn't use fire because it would consume all the oxygen. So what was their light source?
Yeah.
They had lamps, and it's right there on the wall. Like, how did they make it? What was the energy source? You know, but there's clearly, this is not just a myth. There's
ether extraction.
So
they had fire, right? Like, what about fire, light, and
in these small caverns, you can only burn fire for X amount of, time.
There's not enough.
The
chambers are not like chimneyed, so there's not enough airflow. Okay. So if you had a fire to to carve
Carbon
with.
monoxide.
They'd
Crazy.
run out of oxygen really fast, and they were carving down there for like years. You know, these carvings
Yeah,
are
wow.
incredible.
Yeah.
So we've been making light ourselves for a long time, and it's a recognition that the sun is amazing. Like, how can we fractalize the sun and use it in a new way that's for healing and for energy work and for meditation? And that's what fire originally was. And
Yeah.
and the electric light bulb is just the next evolution of that. And there, you know, there's LEDs too, and LED light therapy is great. But the idea is let's make our own light.
It's different.
Because we need it. We need light. We consume light. Like, let's make our own light and apply it for our own benefit, especially after dark, right? The sun sets. Hey, I can still
we
get
need
the healing and the emotional and spiritual magic of fire, you know, the light after dark.
Yeah. I want to shift gears just a little bit and talk about hearing the body, like the ability to have sensory awareness and spiritual awareness to interpret these imbalances and out of harmony calibrations.
Yeah.
And you're one of the
Go ahead.
You're one of the very few people that I was reading some interview you did or whatever, and so 5 years ago when I first started intentionally grounding, I grew up on a farm. I've grounded my whole life. But when I started laying focus to it and really trying, like, understanding the science, I can take my feet out of my Crocs and immediately I know I'm grounded. You could blindfold me, touch a leaf to me, and I could say, hey, something's shifted. Like, I'm grounded now. I can feel it.
Yeah.
And some people call me crazy, but you're one of the few people I read that was like, you can feel it as well. And that's just one example, but this is the problem. You don't know there's a healthier way if you've never felt the health. Like, we don't know we're overtired, overstimulated, drugged out. We might feel like, oh, something might be a little off, but there's this, we're so uncalibrated that we can't really feel.
That's what he was saying about, like,
anymore.
he didn't even know he had brain fog. You know, you don't know the cars.
You don't know until you know. You don't know until you know. And so, yeah, I want to just talk about that a little bit. Like, how, like, this, because it's an arduous road. It's difficult to grind through these things that in theory make sense, but at the core are photon shifts, DNA, songs that are shifting slightly, and especially over decades and even centuries.
How do you become aware of that?
How do you be, like, what the whole listening to the body stuff, like, do you have any thoughts on that, Brian?
Yeah, wow, it's a very important subject. It's probably more important than talking about the science and the benefits. I think is like, how do we get there, and is it possible, and what's it going to take?
Yeah.
And we're really we're conditioned in the West to not listen to self, to rely on external validation and external experts to tell us what to do. And that's not just in health. It's
100%.
everything. We're outsourcing our autonomy, to
our education,
like
our spirituality,
someone else who knows more than us. But the truth is, we know everything. We're unlimited, and we feel everything, and we have this unlimited capacity and power that we can tap into, if only we can remember. So we're not like broken, and we're not lost. We're just kind of still waking up, to the powers that we have within, and probably one of the most important ones is our power of intuition. And intuition's
100%.
like a kind of a catch-all word. It could also be described as our subtle senses. So we don't just have 4 or 5 senses. We some people refer to a sixth sense. When you feel someone go into the room, or you look at someone and they look like they're up to no good, and there's a gut feeling, there's a precognitive awareness that's there.
Yeah.
That's just one sort of manifestation of this idea of intuition. And then you can even go beyond that and say, like, super intuitional knowledge. There's some things that we know to be true. Like when you love someone, and you feel their love, it's It's not something that you can logic through and rationalize. It's something that you just know.
Yep.
And so back to intuition, like we all have this power, and it just waiting to be awakened and developed. And yes, there's work that needs to be done there.
Yeah.
And it's a process, you know, sometimes it is a process of reconnecting with it. First, just listening, like take your shoes off, stand there in the grass, like close your eyes, you maybe plug your ears and just try to feel.
Yeah.
And also with the sauna space, you know, or the light, you just go in there. Don't take a book in there. Don't take any music. Don't take anything or anybody. Just try to sit there and breathe, which makes you, you know, helps you be present, and just listen to your body and listen to like, how is it feeling? You know, whatever you're doing, or like you're getting a massage, let's say. Don't sit there and start thinking, you know, planning for tomorrow. Like when you're on the table, like just feel the tactile sensations you're having and what you're feeling inside your body, and you begin to develop the sense of intuition. And the intuition is the sense of knowing, where you know what's best for you. And you walk into a store and you're buying food, you know, you're ordering at the cafe lunch. You should be able to ideally look at the menu and know what you need and not rationalize through it. Your body, and that's the concept of muscle testing.
Yeah.
And the subconscious is that your body is this amazing tool, this inner engineering that always knows what you need best. So you can use muscle testing to help develop the sense of intuition, but really you're just relying on that power that's within. So a big part of it too is setting an intention. We walk around all day long and we don't think about anything. We don't plan anything in terms of setting intentions. But when we set intentions, this is validated in quantum theory and quantum mechanics. Like all of our neurons in our brain and like who we are as our personality is just this gigantic wave equation. This is big like quantum probability that is constantly manifesting reality as we observe.
Yeah.
So everything is like probabilistic, but once I get in and I observe, or I have an awareness or an intention towards something, it becomes concrete. It becomes reality.
Yeah.
And so first we just start out by like setting the intention of getting in touch with our intuition. And at the same time that it's a process, like I know I'm jumping around here a little bit, but like in Hermetic law and Hermetics and Hermeticism, there's this idea of polarity where, you know, at the same time that something's a journey and a process, it's also simultaneously instantaneous. And so there are ways to like have big leaps forward, you know, where people use different healing techniques and go to spiritual areas of the world and work with trusted spiritual advisors and get big breakthroughs, you know, in their healing and whatever it is, trauma or recollection, and they you can access this intuition, this unlimited like capacity that you have immediately. So it's important to yes, it takes the discipline. You got to get in touch with it, and sometimes it takes time. It can be frustrating, right? Because it's a muscle that we haven't used maybe in a long time. But then there's also opportunities for huge breakthroughs where, oh wow, I feel the grounding. Like it's like I get a chill up my spine. Like there it is. And then once you remember it, you know it and you have it. And it's like that with all things. It's a journey of self-discovery where just trying to remember this greatness, and not even that we had in the past, you know, if it's simultaneous multiple timelines, they're all existing at once. But the more we connect with our other selves and with the world around us and the people around us, and we act from a place of love and walk in gratitude and be kind to people and be authentic and be ourselves. And it's helpful to do some sauna and some detox to, you know, to be more physically ourselves. The more it comes naturally, this idea of intuition and of knowing what's right and what's best, because what's right for you is what's in alignment with you being your highest and best self.
And it may not be what's right for everybody else. Like, I feel like that's a key distinction, right? Because you get all these health guru experts saying, you know, keto is the way, carnivore is the way, what all these different diet paths are the way, or the thing that's gonna heal you. And it's like,
well, they're all
it's like blanket. It's this blanket statement of this thing helped me, and therefore it should help everybody. But we're all different and unique. We all live in different and unique climates. We all have different and unique genes, and like so many external factors that would affect what we would need when we, like you said, go to a restaurant and figure out what we want to order on the menu, like on any given day. Like that's this whole concept of intuitive eating and knowing what your body needs, but it's different for every person, right? And in every season, like it's different in the winter than the summer. Like you said, like we need less calories in the summer. Like, and I think the more that you the more that you become aware of your body and what it needs, the more that doesn't feel like such an effortful thing. Like it feels more intuitive. Like you just kind of know because you've been you've been tuned into it,
and it feels like you're being told.
Right. Like,
and in my journey, you know.
But you have to experience it first. You have to experience the benefit of it first. Yeah. I was thinking about, you should just share really quick.
Yeah.
I kept thinking about like your journey with alcohol, because I feel like that was kind of a similar experience where, you know, for some people it's like they experience the benefits of grounding and just feel it, you know, close your eyes and go out there and you experience the benefit. But for other people, it's like maybe you're experiencing all of a sudden becoming aware of the things that are negatively affecting you, not becoming aware of the things that are positively affecting you. And like, Jer had an experience with that where he was all of a sudden aware of something that was negatively affecting him, and kind of had that like, not a journey moment, but just like a, oh, I don't need that anymore moment.
An awakening.
And it was crazy. Like it was, you know, just and I feel like that all that ties in, right? To like just
people hear us talk enough on this podcast. I want to hear Brian talk, but
sorry.
No, but quick, that should be expanded upon. Like, why, why did you drink? Why did you do that to yourself?
Yeah, exactly.
Why would you intentionally harm yourself? And it's not that. There's wisdom there.
Exactly. There's always
you had to, there's a swing there, and like your higher self or your soul chose to do that, to learn something. It's not like this traumatic experience. If you look at it from the perspective of what did I learn? What was the teaching thing? Why did I do that? And maybe some of that's to just experience that extreme, to know that, so that then you can go to the other extreme and then realize that, wow, I don't need alcohol at all, just to be me. Like I'm okay. But it's not a bad thing what you did necessarily. It was, you were meant to experience that, and that's okay. So as long as we're learning from it instead of living in regret, we're like, I get it. I get what I was trying to tell myself there. And it just took a while for me to realize, whatever it is.
This might be a cliche at this point, but it's most things that are true tend to become one at some point. For me, a big unlock, not just for the alcohol thing, but just for intuition and hearing my body and leaning into what God might be urging me, or my higher self might be pressing into my, like, where I should go. It has, hands down, nothing has been more important than, and you mentioned this earlier, than learning to feel, which would be to learn to be present. And in today's world, we are everywhere but the now. We are very rarely in our exact moment of sensory and spirit input.
Yeah.
So like, we don't actually know what's happening to us right now because our brain is blocking it out, because we're thinking about the task in 10 minutes, what I have to do after this interview, what's going on next week. And then our freaking phones are killing us. I swear they will be the death of the human race if we can't stop being taken away from life source, which is the now, the present. And every single time, and this is where, like, we've talked a lot about meditation on this, returning to the present, and every single time I do that, I always am taught something. I'm always told something, revealed something, blessed, and come out of it, different, I would say, or a new way to listen, to hear, to feel, and it's
when
really
you're present,
been helpful.
You when you're very strongly present, you recognize the constant synchronicities.
Yeah.
And the moment to moment miracles that are always going on all the time, and such a beautiful way to live. And yet, how do we do that if we're so disembodied nowadays? Like, how do we get back into our bodies and back into the present? And that's a bit of what I love about, or not a bit, but a lot of what I love about what I do is not just the detox benefits and the health span extension, living longer and stuff like that with sauna.
Yeah.
It's the presence and the grounding and the returning to self that this firelight spectrum and the experience of what we do with the sauna, with the light therapy, with the portable light, what it does and how it helps us to be instead of doing and like asking someone, absolutely, you need to meditate, or you need to go work out, or you need to do. Let's remember that we're beings. And we're supposed to just be, and we're being really present. We're just being, and we're in this unlimited, timeless moment where, we have all of our senses, all of our subtle, everything is like open to the universe, and our heart's open, and we have endless, capacity and endless possibility. And the approach that we do is all about like helping people get back into that reconnecting with self and that state of being in a really like easy, effortless way without working at it. You just sit in front of the light, and it teaches you and it reminds you that you are light, and you're supposed to be relaxed. You're supposed to be present. You're supposed to feel good, and the heat feels really good. It's, kind of liquefying all the cells of your body. It's all, real warm and snuggly. I feel so
good. I will say when it's become a slight addiction, the feeling you get when you're in that darn sauna.
Yeah, okay. And I just want to, we'd be remiss to not talk about this. Can you just briefly go through the sauna and just the uniqueness of your specific sauna? We have the Faraday infrared.
Yeah. So the technology,
like the grounding, the EMF protection, all that stuff.
Yeah. I don't know if I can get in the camera here, but you can kind of see.
You got it behind you right there.
A little bit. Oh, yeah, I got it behind me.
Red light, yeah.
So it's a special light bulb that I'm now calling the Firelight bulb, and it emits a spectrum that's like the sun, but without the ultraviolet and blue. So it's a full spectrum, incandescent spectrum that's mostly near infrared. So it's a specially designed light bulb that emits more light therapy and more heat than a regular incandescent heat lamp. And it's it's the heart of that technology is the heart of what we do. So we're doing light and heat therapy together. And the sauna behind me has either a 4-bulb panel, and each bulb is 250 watts. So it's either a 4-bulb panel or a 7-bulb system. And that's what delivers the light and heat therapy, delivers the sweating of the sauna and the light therapy benefits. And it sits inside of our handmade organic portable enclosure that's made of organic cotton, organic bamboo, and organic basswood, solid basswood. So it's all like natural materials, and it has a little
in the
curtain.
USA too.
What's that? Yeah, it's all handmade in our shop in the USA, and the bottom is a grounding mat. And the version that you have is an optional upgrade. We call it the EMF shield, where in between these two canvas layers is a hidden layer made of silver and cotton, and that blocks out the external EMF. So like Bluetooth, Wi-Fi, cell phone, things like that. So when you go inside, close that curtain, you're really in a pre-technology space, which is maximally mimicking the ancestral environment. So there's no man-made stressors of any kind, but you have the experience of the grounding of the earthing therapy from the grounding mat. You have the firelight spectrum, which is like sitting in front of the bonfire as the light, and all the organic materials, and it's sort of like a maximum healing chamber. There's all these different therapies, that are going on in there.
Great term for
it's amazing.
It's almost like a time, it's a time portal. You go inside. That's actually funny because in Egypt, the shape of the portal in hieroglyphics and in Egyptian symbology is or one of the shapes is a trapezoid. So the sauna is a trapezoid. So I got a big laugh out of that when I was there. But you go in there, and to emphasize one important point, when you use near-infrared light to heat the body, you're heating the body radiantly. So in the sauna that you have, you don't preheat it. You just get inside, and you start sweating really quickly, and you're done in 15 minutes with the 7 bulbs, or with the 4 bulbs, you're done in 30 minutes. So your benefit of sauna comes from sweating out 1 pound of water and raising core temperature 3 degrees. And the faster you do that, I would say the better. So with the sauna space, with the radiant near infrared light, it happens super fast. If you use a regular Finnish sauna or an infrared sauna, it can take, you have to preheat it for an hour, and then you have to sit in it for an hour. You ask those companies, and it says right in their documentation.
And that's one of the things I've never really enjoyed about, like, we have a sauna in our with cabin in Central Oregon, and you have to like heat through the whole thing, let it heat up, and then rewind the whole thing to get in it. And it's always like such this energy suck time thing. And
you're still getting those benefits.
You're still
getting
the benefits.
Taking longer, right?
You're getting the benefits, but you have to stay in there an hour. You have to preheat it.
Benefits, obviously.
And the benefits are amazing. When you use sauna 1 to 3 times a week, sweating out 1 pound of water and raising core temperature 3 degrees Fahrenheit in each session, it increases your health span, the years of your life that you're healthy, and it reduces your risk of dementia. Those are long-term human population studies that are very strong, very compelling.
Yep.
But you gotta get that sweat on. So if it's a 2-hour time investment 3 times a week versus a 15, 20 minute, it's a big difference.
It's a no-brainer.
I think makes it a lot more, sauna therapy a lot more accessible for people, what we're doing at Sauna Space.
Totally.
Yeah. Okay, so let me ask a question. I've been doing it for about 20 minutes. I'll get in and I'll start to sweat, but I'm not sweating a pound. I'm like, I start to get, I'm shiny all over, and then typically I get out. But I've been doing it almost every day for weeks now, right? But I'm not sweating that, like, I'm not staying in there. So
maybe you need to go longer.
So either I need to go longer.
Basically, those are the measurable outcomes as you measure core temperature with an infrared thermometer, and you can weigh yourself before and after a session. But the subjective outcome that you want to use your intuition, remember, to use is when you reach a state of subjective exhaustion. So you're in there and you kind of get uncomfortable.
Yeah.
And you're kind of like, I feel amazing. I think I'm good. That's when you're supposed to get out. And that's
amazing.
You're trying to do hormetic stress.
I'll pay attention to that.
What's that?
Yeah, I said I'll pay attention to that.
And then change it up too. Like, there's also interesting new research where if you do sauna twice a day, you have this really big growth hormone like production increase.
Interesting.
So you don't want to always just do the same thing all the time. So I usually do it 4 to 5 days a week, but sometimes I take a break for a few days, or I travel and go use it. And mixing it with cold therapy is cool too if you have the opportunity.
Yeah. I've been doing it at night, but I want to really get serious about recalibrating the on-off switch of our circadian rhythm. So like we have the portable light here next to our bed, and we haven't been doing this, but in the morning I should turn that on. Sunrise light, right? Right when I wake
your first light. Definitely before you get any blue LED light from the bathroom or the cell phone. It only takes like a minute. You turn that on for a minute.
Wow.
Shine in your face, and your body's like, the sunrise.
Yeah, because it only lasts for a few minutes outside even. That light spectrum in the morning, right?
Yeah, and then at dark, after dark, you don't want blue light after dark. But you can use this light safely and not disrupt your circadian rhythm.
Yeah. We're obviously
you should try the sauna in the morning though. Like
I was gonna ask, is that what you would recommend to most people?
If you don't have sleep issues and you can fit it in the morning, when you use it in the morning, it just like aligns. It puts you in the flow state and like calibrates you for the day, and you just charge through the day, and you're more productive, and your cognitive function's better, and it's
I'm gonna definitely try.
It's just
that.
amazing, just to make your day more productive, whatever you're doing.
Yeah. I'm gonna switch it up and try that for sure.
And for those of you listening, because I know we're talking about Jerry using the sauna, but I'm 9 months pregnant, so I have yet to be able to use the sauna, but I'm very excited. And one of the driving reasons we wanted to get one was just for postpartum healing and recovery for me, because
you're gonna love it.
That's been one of the hardest things for me. And I have great pregnancies and labors, and then postpartum hits me like a freight train. So I'm really excited to be able to use it just for balancing back out my hormones and detoxification and all that stuff.
Yeah.
Inflammation with nursing and all that. So that's why I have yet to use it. But we've been using the red light, and it's been awesome. But yeah.
Wow, beautiful.
We mentioned this last time we chatted, but I did this little light dive, I don't know, 5 years ago or something now. And at the time, I converted just light bulbs, but this time we just did a big home remodel and whatnot, and we literally put in incandescent bulbs in the whole house, because I'm just like, as much as we can mitigate LED flick, and I can see the flicker on LEDs, and it's just it gives me, talk about feeling like I feel anxiety when I see that. It's just
even like the Christmas tree lights,
Yeah.
Like they're different now than they used to be. And but we don't want our house to burn down.
I feel stuttery on a cellular level, like humming. Anyways, my point is getting back to circadian rhythm, so much, like you can pick your poison really, like start with food, start with sauna or red light, and start with circadian rhythm, grounding. There's all of these tools available and all this knowledge now, and specifically with what we can put under a microscope now, like all of these ancient spiritual hermetic practices, like
we can see their effectiveness now.
We are now observing, hey, like there was something to this practice, or there was something to the original human and our distance from that person. And so like getting back into alignment with circadian rhythm and all that has been massively, that's been our trajectory, and our goal, I guess, is to be back in harmony with God. Source code health is what we've kind of been calling it. It's like you said, this remembering of like, let's get back to the source code. If this is all designed, structured, engineered, and intentional, which I believe it is, God being the creator, and the God conversation is a whole nother conversation to get into, but as I believe it's all been designed and structured and set up, like how do we get back to this source code? So we love what you're doing, Brian. We love what you're bringing to the space, to the conversation, and excited to partner with you and talking about it.
Yeah.
Yeah, we all have that divine spark within us.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yep.
And it's not all bad, and it's not all gloom and doom. It's important to, I think, step away from the media, not just the media and what other people are saying, and just be quiet and listen, and have light, and have love, and have healthy, relationships, and go to bed on time. Love a little more, just a little bit more. And
that's right.
And it's a beautiful world, and there's so much opportunity, and there's so much amazing technologies, not just Sauna Space. There's some really cool stuff out there to help you get back onto the path of wellness and shift you, in a good way.
Yeah.
Is there anything that,
Our bodies are...
that we didn't talk about that you think would just be super helpful for our listeners to know?
We should just real quickly mention the portable therapy light that we're going to start calling the Glow pretty soon, actually.
Oh, cool. I love that.
So,
Glow. We kind of have this rebrand going on this summer that folks will see out there. So
cool.
the portable light...
Jerry's going to get ours.
It's... Yeah, cool. He's bringing it. So it's used classically for targeted therapy, for symptom relief on parts of the body. You shine it on the naked flesh. Is an old, very time-honored therapy. There it is. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
That's kind of the classical use, but there's some other really cool uses that are so relevant to the modern house and the modern home. And that's this firelight spectrum that we deliver with our bulbs cancels out blue light and flickering light. So you can use this light, you can use our portable light to cancel out the technology fatigue and the screen fatigue you get from LEDs and overhead lighting, because it's literally canceling out the measurable amount of blue light and the measurable flickering pulsing rate of light in the indoor lighting environment that's all like LED nowadays. So it's not just used for like targeted healing on the body. It can correct your lighting environment indoors. You're essentially bringing that nature's spectrum that you have outdoors indoors, and you're making the indoor environment much more aligned with optimal human biology. It's not just about hypoallergenic building materials and having beautiful feng shui. It's the actual light environment itself. So you don't have to change out all the LEDs, and some people can't. You know, you're renting your house and whatever. What you can do is you can bring in this portable light and transform the space. And so that works for technology fatigue and LEDs, and also as like an optimal light after dark. You know, that's blue light free and flicker free, so it doesn't disrupt your sleep cycle. And you can use it in the morning for a morning reset, like we mentioned before, mimicking the sunrise. And you can also use it just as an adjunct or an enhancement of anything that you're doing, whether it's breath work, meditation, yoga. Just like anytime you're chilling indoors, you have this light on next to you. It's literally like a fireplace. And it's not just the heat that's healing you and making you feel good. It's literally the energy. It's reminding you that you're an energetic being, and it's very grounding and calming, and ultimately it helps. I like to say it helps people open up. People are out of body and they're distressed, you know, in one way or another, stressed out or closed. It brings them back to themselves and opens them so that they're more open to whatever's happening and more present. Like people use it for like, you know, kind of like fireside chats, like people who are doing even like psychotherapy. You just have this next to you, the person, they won't want to talk. You put them in front of the firelight a little bit, and all of a sudden they're, you know, they've got lots to say.
Amazing.
Well, it's like what a campfire does, right? So,
right.
Yeah, because
It's
like
concept,
even like
you know?
anciently, like there was something about gathering around the bonfire. Things just it's just where it happened. You know what I mean? That's so
maybe
fast.
that's why we fell in love.
Yeah, so you can kind of do all this indoors with this in a convenient, you know, easy way.
Question, Brian.
I have a question too, but is there any limit to how long you can have it on? Like if you work at the desk all day long, can you just have that thing?
My question was, is there an overexposure to morning light or fireside light?
Well, it's just like the bonfire. So if you're too close for too long, it gets, you know, too hot.
Yeah.
But if you're at a reasonable distance away from it, the bonfire can burn day and night. You know, you can be with it. So with this, for targeted therapy, it's used 1 to 3.5 feet away from the body. So it's usually 1.5, 2.5 feet away. If you use it on the head or the throat, it's 10 minutes per hour. Any other part of the body, you can use it for that targeted use.
Even in the sauna, though? Even in the sauna?
Yeah, in the sauna too. So I'll explain that in a second. But you can use it for half an hour to an hour in any other part of the body except the head. We want to be careful with the head. Yeah. But you can repeat that up to 10 times a day. And that's the classical targeted use. If it's just in your room next to you and it's not directly pointing at you, as long as you're in the room, you leave it on. Yeah. As long as you want.
That's what we do at night.
You know, as long as you use it during, you know, in the recommended way. It's either pointing straight or up. You know, it's not pointing down. Yeah. It can just be on. So mine, when I work at the computer, it's on for hours and hours and hours. And when I'm at home in the living room, it's on for a long time, as long as I'm there. But to answer your other question, in the sauna, the difference is you're heating up the whole body. You're not just heating like the shoulder or the head. So the body has the whole body has a lot greater capacity to absorb the energy and the heat. And when you're heating up the whole body,
it's dispersed.
It's just dispersed, and it's much more well tolerated. If you heat up the head only, you have to be careful with that and very much limit that.
That makes a lot of sense. Like your body's able to adjust on a total regulatory system. Like if it knows it is heating up as a total unit, it's gonna adjust accordingly.
Like
recalibrating.
Your brain is literally cooled by the blood flowing past it and pulling the heat away. And so when you do sauna, the whole body, the blood vessels are expanded and the blood is moving faster. There's vasodilation, so everything's working better. So in the sauna, your gauge is more like that sweat response and that feeling of, hey, I've had enough.
Yeah. That's good.
Which is very different
Good.
from
Thanks for
many
sharing that.
people. Some people can only use one bulb to start out. They have autoimmune issues or whatever. So we have multiple switches on the sauna, and you can start out
Yeah, I
with one or
noticed
two
that.
bulbs and work your way up. It's definitely you want to go safe and prudent and slow in the beginning. Not everybody uses the 7 bulb system to start out at all. It's it's something you work towards.
On the 7 bulb, am I able to just add to and upgrade to it, or is it a full new
The base
unit?
The base system is our 4 bulb system. That's our 4 bulb sauna panel, and then you can add in a 3 bulb panel on top of that. So you turn the 4 into a 7 bulb system. So yeah, it's just a optional
buy the
upgrade.
3
It's
bulb.
totally for advanced users. It's not for everybody. But you want the fastest sauna session on earth. That's that 7 bulb system. Once you're ready for
Crazy.
it.
With 4 kids, I think I'm getting to the point where it'd be nice to
Get that in and out efficient.
Yeah, quickly. Yeah, you're going to be even busier, man, pretty soon.
That's
That's what I mean. With 4th kid coming, I'm going to need these sessions to be like clockwork.
Well, thank you,
Beautiful.
Brian. Thanks for unpacking all that. And can you let our listeners know where they can find you, where they can find more research on Sauna Space? I know you guys put out a lot of stuff on Instagram too, and online.
Yeah. Our website is sauna.space. So we have a lot of information on there in our Learn Center and our research archive in the footer. It's a lot of curated articles that I've sorted by topic if you're interested in the scientific research. And we're based in Missouri, so we have in-house customer support. You can call, email, or chat during the weekdays, and we're here to help you. Everybody at Sauna Space has and owns and uses the product, so we're all really knowledgeable, and we're here to take care of you. It's our exceptional customer service is really a hallmark of and one of our most important missions. Otherwise, on Instagram, we're at Sauna Space. I've done a lot of content on there. I've got lives that I do with experts where we deep dive into some weird topic like parasites or whatever and do testing with EMF meters and other stuff. So there's a lot of great content. It's at Sauna Space on Instagram.
Very cool.
Cool.
Very cool.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Brian. Yeah, this is great.
Yeah, thank you for having me. Love you guys. So honored to be on here. Beautiful.
All right. Keep it up. Cheers to a healthier world.
That's right. Talk soon.
Take care.